You know, there were several of these balloons that during the last administration didn't even know they were there. They didn't even do anything about them. The idea that there was a dereliction of duty, I think, is a bizarre notion. China knows exactly what the deal is with us.
No nation state, particularly an adversary, should be able to fly any platform over the airspace of the United States without it being confronted and stopped.
Well, President Biden and Senator Marco Rubio there. Biden speaking on PBS about the Chinese spycraft and the fallout from it. Joining us now, House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCaul. He introduced today's resolution condemning China over the spy balloon. Mr. Chairman, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Bret.
How serious do you think this is? Understanding you've received this classified briefing and what you can and cannot tell us, but how serious is it?
Well, I think it's very serious. I think these lower flying balloons can collect data, not to get into specifics, but the lower you are to the ground, the better collection you get. And I think that's what China has been trying to do here. And there's speculation, reports about these balloons going back, to previous administrations. There was an Air Force report that maybe as far back as 2019. What I worry about, Bret, is it's been reported as well that there was transmission through the antennas, I think Wall Street Journal, that this was all going back to Beijing and the mothership, which leads me to the question of why in the world did we shoot this thing down the minute it entered U.S. airspace over the Aleutian Islands. We have a military base in Alaska before it was able to enter airspace with mainland America all the way across the United States, collecting data and collecting intelligence.
Well, Congressman, this is what Democrats say, and I'll just paraphrase here. They say, yes, there aren't that many people in those remote places in Alaska or in Montana, and to Senator Daines' point, there are a lot of cows and prairie dogs, but had it been shot down and a piece of that equipment, the size of 3 buses or something even bigger than that, hit one person and injured them or killed them, what would your reaction as Republicans be on Capitol Hill?
And I think that's fair until you look at the geography. The Pacific Ocean would be a great place for that balloon to have landed. They could have shot it down before it hit mainland United States. They could have shot down Aleutian Islands in the Pacific Ocean and stopped. What happened was, this is the first sighting we've seen of these balloons over the United States in mainland part of the United States, collecting data on private citizens, going over Air Force bases with ICBM capability and national security assets. And I really think it's one of two things. Very accidental. The trade winds may have blown it off course, or maybe something more nefarious, intentional, to gather and collect intelligence and data prior to the Secretary of State's meeting with Chairman Xi. Either way, that's been canceled.
I want to play another soundbite from that interview with PBS President Biden did yesterday. Take a listen to this.
Have relations now between the U.S. and China taken a big hit, frankly?
No.
How do you know?
I know. I talked to him.
You've talked to Xi Jinping?
Talked to Xi Jinping before. And our team talks to their people.
During this and since?
After this. I haven't talked to them during this.
Mr. Chairman, how could it not affect relations between the U.S. and China? And I don't fully understand that answer. Do you?
I don't. It seemed a little naive in a way, like I know him. Well, he needs to know the intelligence as well that's out there. He needs to read what Chairman Xi says about the 100-year marathon, and his intentions are very clear. I think what happened, if this was intentional to fly over the United States, and we do know that once it was over our airspace, they could control the aircraft, and they still decided to keep it on course throughout the United States and collect data. That obviously impacts our relationship with China. It makes what's already deteriorating relationship even worse now. So I think our relationship is not good. And I don't know why Chairman Xi decided to do this right now at this time when the Secretary of State was getting ready to visit.
Senior Pentagon officials say that they felt confident that they were blocking whatever the balloon was trying to do. Also interesting that the Secretary of Defense tried to call Chinese officials and they essentially didn't take his call. I want you to put on your hat of your previous chairmanship of Homeland Security and a report, Fox Digital, that the Biden administration is removing most of the surveillance balloons at the southern border due to cost and due to a lack of funding, meaning these balloons used to spot illegal immigrants coming across the border. At the same time, interestingly enough, Customs and Border Patrol tells our Bill Malugin that Chinese nationals coming across that border has increased 800% year over year, crossing into the United States. So put that other hat on, if you would.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, I remember going back when I was in Afghanistan, I saw the aerostat balloons, and our military would say that's our border security with Pakistan, right? So I created the plan with DHS to bring those aerostats. They were going to retire them anyway. Let's put them on the southwest border and make good use out of them. It gave us great visibility on the southwest border to detect and deter not only immigration threats, but terrorist threats as well. And now we're seeing this administration taking those very balloons down as all these Chinese are coming in as well, buying land next to military bases. This is a clear and present danger threat. And I would also, Bret, tie what happened with this balloon over the United States, I would tie this to Taiwan as well. If I could just close by saying, I think this was a test of the administration and a test as to how we would respond, particularly as it relates to Taiwan. And I would say the president failed that test by not shooting it down immediately and allowing it to traverse across the United States with all of its intelligence collection, which I believe was transmitted back to Beijing to the mothership. That sends a very dangerous signal back to a very strong adversary that's a threat to our national security.
Michael McCaul, Chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, we appreciate your time.
Thank you, Bret.